Welcome to Coffee, Eggs and Inspiration. It's a weekly show that goes out over YouTube and as a podcast over all of the major channels. And each week I get to sit with an inspiring person and listen to them tell their story and share it with all of you. This week is no different. I'm joined by Ben Dyer. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you.
I'll give Ben the customary introduction. Ben's the co-founder and co-founder with Michael, your cousin, of the UK's largest enterprise competition called the National Enterprise Challenge, largest secondary school challenge of its kind, where kids are invited to come up with ideas around real-life business challenges. Over 200,000 students involved in the UK in these challenges. Ben grew up in Stoke-on-Trent in a pretty tough environment, which we'll talk about, and had an interesting experience at school, which I guess you've been learning from and contributing back into ever since in your work in education. 2 businesses by the time he was 21, and those businesses, or at least one of them, failed and went into bankruptcy in 2011, which is always a great experience, honestly, for an entrepreneur to come through that and understand the trials and tribulations of starting a business. Emerged like a phoenix from the ashes. 2013 launched the National Enterprise Challenge, convincing initially Lord Alan Sugar to come on board, and subsequently Theo, Paphitis, and now in the 3rd incarnation of that sponsorship, which we'll talk about. In 2016, Ben was awarded the Natwest Social Entrepreneur of the Year, along with, I guess, Michael, right? Yeah. Your co-founder.
Correct. And
more recently, Young Business Person of the Year. So a lot of accolades and a very interesting beginning, which is where I'd like to start, actually. You grew up in Stoke.
Yeah, grew up in Stoke-on-Trent, council estate upbringing. Dad was, I remember the first memory of school. Everybody was in the classroom and they were talking about what your mum and dad did as a job. So I'm sat there and I was really proud to put my hand up, and I put my hand up and I said, my dad's a football hooligan. So yeah, it's quite an interesting start to life. Very well loved, not going to knock that at all. Mum and dad did a great job. Subsequently split up with me. My dad and my mum split up, moved to another council estate. And being kind of the son of a football hooligan, a lot of people expect you to go down that path.
What does it mean to be a football hooligan? Maybe some people watching from the US or other countries.
So basically, it was rife in the 80s, especially, and yeah, it was a culture of almost a gang culture centred around football, and it was quite a big deal, especially back then. And my dad was heavily involved with it. And a lot of people were. You meet a lot of people down the line that were involved and have come out the other side, as has my dad. So it's something that you learn to kind of accept almost as you grow up, because it was just part of the culture. Not condoning it, but you can understand rather than accept.
So you were expected somehow to follow or tainted in some way with that brush. And
I think that's fair to say. Although my dad was always discouraging, so that from a positive point of view there. Yeah. But yeah, so it was an interesting when we grew up growing up, and then I moved to a place called Mere in Stoke-on-Trent, and with my brother and me and my sister and my mum, and then so things were times were hard. It wasn't easy upbringing in terms of being reliant on benefits, but my mum did a good job, and we learned to get by, and and did relatively well at school. Got 9 GCSEs, so it wasn't bad in terms of that. The school was great, and then moved on to college with Mike.
Right, and Stoke-on-Trent, just paint the picture there a little for those less familiar. Stoke-on-Trent is
famous for the pottery industry.
Yeah,
an industry that's definitely coming back now, thanks to some really good companies. But an industry that was, when I was growing up, that had lost its way. And the same with the mines as well. All the pits were shut, and
the coal pits.
Yeah, the coal pits. So a lot of people who worked in them industries, it was a tough time. So we were kind of I was kind of born just after, in and around that time. So you saw a lot of people that were you'd have to say depressed, downbeat about the city, and it's taken the city a long time to recover, to be honest. It's but you know, I'm glad to say that it is definitely on the way up.
Famous somewhat also for being the home of Robbie Williams, who still goes back. And
yeah, he's just announced a charity concert, so it's good to see him go back to his roots. He was at Port Vale yesterday. I saw on social media. So yeah, it's everybody always says either Robbie Williams, but I like to prefer, because I'm a Stoke fan, to say Stanley Matthews, who was the first footballer to receive a knighthood. So I always refer back to Stanley Matthews.
Well, shout out to Stanley and shout out to Robbie as well. Let's give them both credit. And I believe you're dyslexic, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
How did you find that? What was that experience at school?
The January before my exams and when I was 16. Was finding it really tough to write quick. I always struggled with writing, but didn't realise that, you know, about dyslexia.
So you were 16 when
so it was, and we did the test before the GCSEs, and it was found out that I was dyslexic. So I got some extra time, and that was probably the reason I'd ended up doing it okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough, but it was just one of the things you just got on with. I just thought maybe I'm just a slow writer, or I struggle reading quick. Yeah. But then to find out that at 16 was difficult, and it's one of them things that I think because it was diagnosed later, it's probably helped me in a way, because I found mechanisms to cope.
Right. Rather
than using it as a kind of an excuse, I just got on with things.
So
it's the same now, yeah. So organically now, if I'm having a bad day with reading, I mean, and it's the little things. If anybody's that's dyslexic might say, it's now and again looking at a word and thinking that doesn't look right. And it might be something as simple as but or and or you know. Yeah. But then it'll kind of go for a bit, and then you'll look at a word again and you go, oh, I can't really understand that word. And it's strange to people that don't understand it, and a lot of people are sceptical about it. But it's just looking. It's really just different things. It's just tough. But again, you just get by, and it does help having things like Grammarly on your emails and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's the acceptance of it as well. Yeah. Letting people understand, that now and again,
it's okay.
Your emails
it's a thing.
Aren't going to be perfect, but it's just one of the things you get by.
Well, it's obviously not held you back in the least. And at 16, you were pretty much the man of the house. You were living with a single mum. Yeah. How was that?
Again, it was tough because I've always been a quite a close family guy, and my sister and brother, you want to look after them, but you just get by. But there's always that drive for me to want to do something a bit different and to get by, and not just get by, actually to excel in something. I think that was the driver for me, was why can't we go on a nice holiday? Why can't we live in a nice house? And that kind of driver, and that was kind of what the start of my entrepreneurial journey was. It was, if I wanted to go to the football match, for example, I needed to find a way of doing that. So I used to get a job selling half-time draw tickets. Yeah. But not only did you have to sell the tickets, you had to sell 25 tickets to get into the match, which was really unfair. So you had to sell 25 tickets. So we had to be entrepreneurial. I had to be entrepreneurial just to go watch the football.
So the hustle started pretty early, and that led you into your first two businesses, right?
Yeah. So and then when I ended college, it was kind of a choice. What do I do? And I didn't want to go to university at the time, so I had a couple of sales jobs, one in recruitment, and one working for Stoke football club in sales. And then when that kind of the Stoke job didn't work out for me, decided to go to back to university because I heard an advert on the radio. Yeah. In Staffs University, we're doing like a pioneering course, like a business startup degree. Right. So I rang Mike, who wasn't having a great time at his university at the time, which I won't name. But he wasn't having a great time. I said, look, shall we do this course? And then, they say the rest is history.
So you did the course together, and then started the business.
So we got a space one day a week in a shared office. But we were the only ones really that used it. Yeah. So we could go into the office most days, and then the degree was on a Wednesday. And because it was competitive in nature in terms of you used to have to report every week what you'd been doing, we wanted to be the best. So we set up. That was when we had the idea really. As much as 10 years ago was the founding ideas behind what we do now. But it wasn't until much later that we had the National Enterprise Challenge, officially launched. But the actual founding ideas of it and the enterprise kind of programs haven't really changed that much from when we were on the foundation degree.
So the two businesses that you had, one was an education business, the other one was a pub.
Yeah. It was my idea, so I can take the blame for the pub.
The pub that failed, was it?
It was the pub that failed. We just didn't, and we were just too young. As easy as and simple as that, really. We were too young. We were a bit naive. We thought that we had a great group of friends that could use the pub on a weekly basis. We were quite young, but we took it from £2 or £3 grand a week to £8 grand a week. But the deal that the brewery had you on and structured on meant that you didn't make any more money.
Very tight.
It was very tight, and then the problem was that once we got busy, and the police would insist on bouncers and door staff and stuff like that. So it just ended up that we were losing money, a lot more money than we thought.
So, you know, at Google we talk about our glorious failures and the things that we learn from those failures. What did you learn from yours?
To keep a closer eye on things, not to be complacent, I would say, and you know, keep going and pushing things. I think the biggest thing for me though is that don't dwell on being too down in the dumps about things, and you know, we've been bankrupt, and we do, you know, now we're in 450 schools, but it doesn't feel any different. Yeah, you've just got to keep going. So perspective in terms of if you're in a dark place or things don't go wrong, you can come out of it. It isn't the be all and end all, and actually they'll go away. The problems will eventually go away for you. Light at the end of the tunnel.
So tell me about what led you from that sort of dark place, so to speak, into the light at the end of the tunnel and into Lord Alan Sugar's office.
So we went to back to Staffs Uni to finish our degrees, and it was whilst we were there, we were in the coffee shop at the university, and two gentlemen were saying that young people didn't have the skills for the world of work, and it was as simple as that. We were like, well, we've actually been into some schools, we know that's not just the case, and we said, what could we do to kind of combat this issue? Yeah. And that was when we came up with the idea. We brainstormed and we said we needed somebody to front the business. We needed somebody to, like Lord Sugar.
The education business.
Yeah, the education business. Who could be our front man? Yeah. Could we do a national competition? Right. And could we call it the National Enterprise Challenge? Yeah. And that's when it was born, out of that conversation. Not ashamed to say we didn't go back to lectures. We kind of took that idea, and I remember going back thinking I need to tell somebody about this idea. So I thought the person I could go back to was my granddad. I thought he'll say it's a good idea. I remember going back and he said, "Look, Ben, you've been bankrupt. There's plenty of jobs at Vodafone." That's exactly what he said to me. He said, "Why don't you go work in the call centre and you know, and get a bit of stability?" And I said, "No, honestly, Grandad, I'm going to show you we can make this work." And so it was kind of him really that I thought he would have said, you know, this is a great idea, and agreed with me. But it was his kind of tough love, I suppose, that made me think, you know, we can do this. And then fast forward, we tried to get an ambassador, and Lord Sugar said he would take it on for. We had to make a donation to his charity, but that was fine. And the national.
But how did you get in touch with him? Right?
We put the feelers out for a lot of people. We tried all the Dragons. We tried a few others, and
the Dragons.
Is in Theo. We tried Peter Jones. We tried a few of the Dragons, and then it was through a contact, Claire Young, who we knew from an organisation called School Speakers, and she was on The Apprentice. And we got in touch with Claire, told her our idea, and she had put us in touch with Lord Sugar's PR people, and to our amazement, in the September of 2012, he agreed to do it.
He took the meeting?
Yeah.
Can you remember the meeting?
Yeah, initially it was with his PR people, then he agreed to do it, but by the time he got it sorted, to give you kind of the scale of it, it was the December, and then there's Christmas. So it was about this time in 2012. So you've got to think, we've got no challenge, we've got no schools signed up, got no office, got no team. So we're getting into Christmas, and we were going to film with him in the January for the challenge. Right. But we knew to put the finals on in London we need at least 50 schools, and we'd only ever delivered into about 20 in 1 year. So we had 6 months, and we'd never actually been to London other than watch Stoke City play. Right. So we said we committed to this London finals, but we ended up we got 8 schools in the first year, I think it was. 11,000 young people. We went to his offices to film him. He was great. The video was really good and inspired the students.
This was in London?
Yeah, it was like The Apprentice. Very much setting the scene.
Yeah.
And then we had the first finals at the Troxy, but it wasn't until the finals that the long-term plan came, because I think the first year was about proving it to.
Yeah. Proof of concept sort of thing. Yeah.
While also proving that we could achieve something.
Yeah.
And then a school came up to us and said, a teacher said, "Oh, great, what's next year?" And we just said, "Oh, it's going to be bigger and better," and that was kind of what we said.
And you went from there. Here's a fun fact: I've actually met Lord Sugar.
Okay.
I met him in 1983.
Oh wow!
Showing my age here. I was on a business trip with my father, and who was in toys, and we went on a buying trip. He was buying stock, and at that time, Alan was the pioneer, I guess, of personal computing. He had Amstrad.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in his office, talking to this. I was like 13 years old at the time, talking to this gruff guy, and he was absolutely friendly and welcoming, and he remains so today. A great ambassador for business and entrepreneurship in the UK.
Definitely, I think the thing is with Lord Sugar, he's got the persona about him, but he's been there, done that, and got the t-shirt anti many times. So it's and he is always championing business, and I think what he's done with the Apprentice in the UK has really brought business to inspire people to want to have their own business and to be successful.
And taught acumen as well. So big shout out to Lord Sugar, thank you. And then that relationship lasted for some time.
It was for the year, yeah. And after that, what we wanted to do, we listened to feedback from teachers, and we wanted. The teacher said to us, "Look, it'd be great if we could move it to a real life business challenge model." Yeah. So could we get companies? And that was when we decided to approach Ryman and Theo, because Ryman obviously had a natural link to young people with the stationery. And yeah, we approached the marketing director at Ryman, who previously had said no the year before. And it was a better sales pitch though, because we could now go, well, look, we've had 50 schools, we had Lord Sugar as our ambassador,
right.
We want Theo now, and luckily we gave them kind of 7 days to decide, and which was so bold at the time. And then after about 6 days, the UK managing director at the time gave me a ring and said, and he was kind of laughing, saying, "Oh, I can't believe you give the marketing director 7 days, it's brilliant." I said, what do you mean? He said, "Well, nobody ever says anything to her, so it's quite funny that you give her a deadline." Yeah. We like the idea. Do you want to come and meet in London? It went from there, and it's been a successful 6 years, really.
And for those who don't know, Theo Paphitis, he's one of the biggest entrepreneurial names in the country. He's on Dragon's Den, or was for a period. Ryman Stationers is his business. Great guy.
Yeah, lovely guy. He's and to be fair, he's been a big part of the challenge growing to the level it is now. Every year at the finals, he's been really welcoming, and the students, even now, I know he's been off Dragon's Den for a while. He came back on this year, but the students, instantly recognise him as an entrepreneur, and some of the answers he's given on the Q&A, and just again, really just an all round really good guy, to be honest.
Thank you, Theo.
Yeah,
shout out to Theo. And you're now in your third incarnation. You've got a new sponsor.
Yeah, so we've got Nick Jenkins from Moonpig has agreed to become the ambassador this year. Yeah. So we're looking forward to him being on board. Again, it's an interesting one. Moonpig's such a great story, and the fact that he's now our ambassador, we're looking forward to meeting him. And we've got 2 great challenge partners this year. We've got Grenade, the health brand, and Air Products, and both challenges have taken really the competition to a new level. So
unpack this for us, for those not familiar with the competition. What's the basic setup?
So we've got 2 challenges, one for Key Stage 3, which is Year 7 and 8, and one for Key Stage 4, Year 9 and 10. And basically we go in and deliver a day's worth of training in the school, up to 200 kids, and they'll take part in the challenge. We facilitate it, and if you think of the Apprentice, that's what we take into the school. So they've got an Apprentice style challenge, and then at the end of the day, the best 10 teams pitch.
And the challenge is a real life business.
Real life business,
so
yes.
Can you give an example?
So Grenade, for example, this year they've set the challenge to come up with a new carb killer bar for them, and Air Products have set a challenge around sustainability in the environment. So to come up with an alternative use for their bottles once they reach the end of life. So it's quite difficult challenges, really. It's all set by video. It's linked to the government's Gatsby benchmark, so it hits some of the government requirements for the career strategy. So that's really cool as well. But then what we love is and kind of sets us apart. Every winning team from each school goes to the national finals.
And the teams are what size?
6.
6 people. So 6 high school kids.
Yeah.
Can't really call them children. I've got 2 high schoolers as well. Get together. They attack this challenge. It's complex engineering, design, business, all this sort of thing.
And then ends with a pitch at the end of the day.
Ends with a pitch. I imagine you've seen some pretty professional pictures.
Well, Theo himself said actually some of the pictures that he's seen are better than the ones on the den. So, you know, so effectively they finish the pitch on the day, and then we have 200, upwards of 200 teams coming to the finals, and then basically they pitch their ideas again at the finals in the morning. So that's kind of like X Factor auditions kind of level, and then in the afternoon it's a bit like Dragon's Den meets X Factor. We had Perry and Jordan from Diversity in the last couple of years hosting, but then we hear from Theo or Nick, as it'll be this year, and then the winners, the best 10 from each room, get on stage and pitch in front of everybody.
And the grand final winner.
Yeah, so we've had some great examples. So Theo has actually launched a number of the products with Ryman down the years. We've had the team at Alton Towers. When Alton Towers set the challenge a few years back, they've gone away and worked with the team on their roller coaster designs. This year, Grenade are committed to making the winning the bar a reality that the students come up with. So really, the partners that we get commit to the challenge and actually see.
So this is real life stuff. Have you tracked some of the students who have been successful in the past of the competition? What happened afterwards?
Yeah, we've had some incredible examples. One that sticks to mind was quite a quiet girl in the first couple of years who went on to do well at the competition, and recently she has got into the RAF and says that she wouldn't have had the confidence to do it had she not took part in the competition. So that, you know,
so really a platform, a launch platform,
and that's only now we're 6 years in. It's only going to get more and more that we hear stories like this because the students are then now going on their own paths, and it's you know, it's fantastic to see. But from our point of view, it just gives young people, no matter what background they're from, a platform to succeed and do well.
Yeah. So if they've got a good idea and some talent, they can show what they're capable of.
And it's unique really in the terms of we ask for mixed ability groups.
Yeah.
So we can.
What does that mean?
What we say to the schools is, can they be a mixed ability, so that when we go and deliver the day, the students that are high ability don't just win.
Right.
And for me, that would be not, you know, it wouldn't be right on the students that took part, because they just say, well, we expected them to win. So we put them into mixed ability groups and mixed gender. So quite often they're working with students they don't see.
So good balance.
Good balance, but also from an educational viewpoint, at our finals there'll be students that academically might not be doing very well, pitching on stage.
Yeah.
So for me that's quite unique to see students like that excelling.
Yeah. I want to pick up on something you just said. So academically not doing so well, which sort of raises some questions for me anyway in relation to what education is today and how well it prepares children for the work of tomorrow. What's your view on that?
I think it's a tough one because the people doing the teaching aren't leading the policy, are they? So really they can't make that change. So they're only dictated to really to what they've got to achieve. So I hear the term a lot, exam factories, but really that's kind of what it's become, and especially in secondary. I think there's a lot of good work in primary, and in secondary, the teachers are doing the best, with what resource they've got. But in truth, what and I told you I was at an event yesterday with an organisation called Paphitis who are looking into this. It needs a long-term strategy, and it needs a plan. It needs to link more closely with business, and the Careers and Enterprise Company are doing a good job on that at the minute. But it needs a long-term plan. So the Careers and Enterprise Company, for me, needs to be extended. We need to link businesses more closely with the schools, because that's what we're preparing them for the world of work, to be good citizens. And nowadays, really, the way that this is taught in schools and what we're preparing for isn't fit for purpose, really.
Yeah, right. I have to agree. There's some absolutely incredible teachers and heads of school out there, but the reality is they operate within the guardrails of national curricula, etc. So important work that you're doing there as an influencer in the space. There's probably some young people watching this.
Yeah.
Okay. It's YouTube and it's a podcast. They may be thinking about what comes next after school, or perhaps they're a little bit older and they're thinking about their first pivot. With all of your experience, what advice would you give them?
Give it a go, and just begin at something. Do something, and there's never a better time than the present. no matter what, if you think you can't do something, you know, somebody told me, loads of people told us we wouldn't get somebody like Lord Sugar be our ambassador. Loads of people told us that, you know, you've been bankrupt, you're not going to be able to start again. But in truth, you can. It isn't a cliche. You can do anything. You know, I'm sat here with a view from Google today. You know, my son will be really impressed that I'm doing a YouTube video. The thing is, you can achieve absolutely anything if you put your mind to it, and don't be held back by background or circumstance, because when all's said and done, no one's bothered. It's only yourself, really. You've got to be that change, and just be inspired. Find something you're passionate about.
Oh, look, that's never happened before. We're going to keep this in. I'm going to see if I can turn the lights back on. Just one sec. Here we go.
Very spooky there.
Yeah.
I think that was the signal to say shut up, Ben.
No, not at all. I'm going to keep that in. That's this is the real life raw YouTube podcast. For those who are listening, by the way, the lights just went out in the room, so we were momentarily in darkness. But you know, so I heard a saying once: if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right.
Yeah, correct.
Right? Which is essentially what you're saying.
It is. You know, and I've seen a lot of speakers down the years, but probably one of the best ones I've seen is a guy called David Heiner, and he talks about being a rhino.
Being a rhino.
Yeah, and he just talks about go rhino, and that's his kind of his mantra. And you know, famous quote he said at our finals once was, you know, don't let anybody determine what it is you're capable of achieving. You decide, and that was his quote, and it's so true. At the end of the day, nobody else can tell it. It's got to be from you.
What a wonderful note.
So shout out to him. Yeah, David Heiner is a good guy.
Shout out to David. What a wonderful note to end on. I'm going to put your links below, so if you're a school or a head who's interested in becoming involved, the links are below, both as a podcast and as a YouTube video. Ben, your story's inspirational. I think you're an inspiration. You're a real role model for what's possible with a bit of determination and grit. Really appreciate you joining me. Thanks.
Cheers.